Hello and welcome to this course or to this lesson. So in this lesson, character body mechanics I'll be taking you through how you can create a walk cycle, make your character walk, make your character jump, make your character run, and make your character lift weight. So we're doing like at least three or four body mechanics. So we'll start with the walk cycle, the run cycle, the weight lift, and the jump. All right, so once you understand how these body mechanics work, you can actually apply it to your character, or whenever you want to animate your character, you can actually use this technique for your character. All right, so the first thing you need to consider when creating a body mechanics or creating any animation is reference images. You need to get reference, whether it's a video or an image. You need to work with references. You always want to work with references, whether you want to record yourself, playing out what you intend to create, whether it's an action or a run. You have to have references. But for a walk cycle and a run cycle, there's already a standard principle on how you can apply it, and I've added the reference image to this your project file. So just check for it. So I'll switch this to the image editor, come to open, and I'll find my character. This is a walk cycle and this is a run cycle. So we'll start with the walk cycle. So there are the key things to consider when in a walk cycle are these principles. All right, even it applies to everybody, both human beings and cartoons. All right, so this is the steps it takes to make a single walk. All right, so we start with the contact pose, the down pose, the passing pose, the up pose, and again the contact pose. So it takes these five poses to create a walk. Then we repeat it on the other parts of the legs. So it's best explained in practice. So you just follow me carefully. All right, you don't need to know it all. So let's just start posing our character. So the first thing we want to do, the first pose we want to start with is the contact pose. So we have to mimic the poses we have here. So in case you're a beginner and you do not understand what I mean by by recreating this, you're just like copying every pose you see here on your character. So we'll be using our time frame. We'll be using our frame rates. We'll be using 30 frames per second. The standard is always 24 frames per second, but I would like to keep it to 30 frames per second so that it has that fluid walk. It's not too fast, and you can actually enjoy your character walking. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to do is, this is I'm looking at it from my side view. So if I press Ctrl and 3, remember 3 to go to your side view. If you hold down Ctrl and press 3, it's going to go to the other side view. Okay, so the first contact pose we are going to create is this one. We're going to create a contact pose. So what we'll do is select this control. So we have all our controls here for the character. Okay, so I'm using FK. In case yours is in IK, you have to switch. Just select the first control here, snap to IK. So if you snap it to IK, it's going to switch to IK. But if you snap it back to FK, it's going to switch to FK. So when creating a walk cycle or a run cycle, you want to use FK for the hand and IK is for the legs. So that's the standard, the principle. You can't use unless you are a god or a very pro in animation, that you would use IK for the hands. But standard is FK because FK is actually attached to the root bone. You can actually move it any way you want. So but if you snap it to IK right now, and I intend to move this root bone to another location, the IK snaps to. They all have their pros and their cons. So, and you see them when we are applying them. Especially in weight lifts, the IK comes in very handy. So you may be asking, what's the meaning of IK and FK? So IK means inverse kinematics, and the FK means forward kinematics. So That's the meaning of I key and F key. So that's it. So we want to select all our character and just click and go to other side view so that we actually have this, this side of our reference. All right, so I'll just select everything, come to our keying set, set the keying set to a whole character. I'll set it to whole character, and while I'm on my my windows here, I'll just press I on my numpad. You will see that it successfully added 2557 keyframes to this control. So ultimately we have over 2000 controls on your character alone. Okay, so Control 3 to snap to the other side view, and let's create this contact pose. So the thing I'll do first, you'll notice that the first leg moves forward, so I'll do that first. I'll just move this forward a bit, and the other one moves backwards. I'll move this backward, then bring my root bone. Make sure you've selected this root bone. Control 3, bring this down just a bit, so it gives, just bring this down a bit here. So you want to move this so that it's straight, just like you have here. So this row, you just have to move it forward. That's Control 3. Alright, so I move my foot row forward, and make sure you move it again so it rolls up. So do the same thing for this one. Move your foot row, move this back just a bit here. Okay, so we've created our first contact pose for the leg. So let's do it for the hands too. So let's come to the front view. I think I need to look at this from a front view too. So I'll hover around here. When you change this to plus, I'll click and drag to create another window. Press N here to close the N, and T to close the tools panel. Just close them here. So I want to look at this from the front view. Exactly. So I want to have my front view here, and while I tweak this, I think I'll have to disable the controls in this window, so I'll be seeing it from the front view. So this is the side view. I'll press 1 to come to the front view. So we want to bring this down right here. So the thing with the hands is that wherever the leg, if the leg is in front, the hands have to go the opposite direction. That's the standard when you're walking. I mean, the arms and the leg do not go the same direction, they have to go the opposite direction. So in my front view again, I'll bring this down. You can see from my side view, I'll bring this forward. You can see that we've created our first contact pose. So I will not be going too deeply into this walk cycle. All right, it's basic, it's the basic knowledge you need to have. So but we can go into polishing this walk cycle, and it will take a considerable amount of time, but depending on the kind of walk cycle you want to create. So there is a walk cycle for an old man, there's walk cycle for a lady. The walk cycle for a lady is different from the walk cycle of an old man anyways. Okay, I'm going to do a separate tutorial for the lady version, but this is for a man. So this is basic knowledge on how you can create a simple walk cycle from start to finish. Okay, so this is for the arms. I'll rotate this forward. Okay, come here. I think I'll just switch to wireframe and relax the fingers a bit. So I'll just press R to rotate, S to scale, just to relax the finger just a bit there. Select this middle finger, just relaxing it, okay, to give it that natural feel. Press S to scale the pinky right there. So when I've done that, I mean, there's no mirror modifier on this one, so I'll have to select this rig, press B to activate my box select, hold down shift and deselect any control I do not want to add to it. So while these controls are selected, the finger controls are selected, I'll just copy it, Control C, and press Control Shift V to paste it on the other finger. So you can find that this other finger has the pose All right, great. So we established our first key pose, contact pose. So for the waist, I would want to favor, when you're walking, the pressure or the weight is placed on the contact, like the one in front. So I would like to favor that part by going to the front view, the top view, rotating my hips to favor it. Then my chest here, I would rotate it, 7. I'll rotate it to the opposite side, to where the arms is swinging forward, just very subtle. Exactly. All right, so with that selected, if we go back to our side view, look at it from the front view. Now for the front view, now I would have to look at it from the front view and press GX to move the feet forward inside a bit, just very subtle. Now one of the key things you need to note for a lady, if it were a lady, we'll have to move the feet in like this, so it has that catwalk, but this is a man, we just have to leave it. It has to be very, very, very subtle, very subtle, in just a tiny bit right there. Okay, so we have established our first contact pose. All right, so select everything, press I again to add a keyframe. All right, so we're going to be creating each key poses with 4 frames interval. So we'll count like 1, you have 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll come to frame 4 and create the down pose. So now we are actually, this is not a progressive walk cycle. We are creating this walk cycle at a standstill. So the character is not moving, it's not translating forward, it's standing at one place to to walk. So that's what we are doing right now. In the next lesson, I'll show you how to create a progressive walk cycle, which means the character is going to translate from one point to the other, which is a very good technique to have when creating a walk cycle. When animating your character, just say your character is talking and he wants to walk to another point while he's still talking, so you have to create that that progressive walk cycle. But this is a standard in motion or standard in place walk cycle, and this can be used for your games and for, especially for games, mostly used for games. So the next key pose we are going to be creating is the down pose. So what we do now is clear this rotation here by holding down Alt and press R. Okay, we didn't rotate the feet, it was the foot roll we touched. So we just hold down Alt and press Alt G to clear that rotation. Apologies if you can hear my dog, so apologies for that. So move this backwards a bit. Okay, bring this forward. So I'll clear this translation here, bring this up and rotate it down. Okay, so for the root bone, select the root bone, select your root bone, come to side view and bring it down, just very subtle. Right, so you can see it right here, bring it down, very, very subtle there. So just, that's it right there. So we've created our, so for the arms, we'll swing it back again and swing this forward. Okay, so okay, I'll select this one, bring it in, select this one, bring it in. I'm just looking at my front view and editing it from here. Alright, so that's our down pose. So we've created our down pose right there. So just very subtle. Okay, Alright, so we select everything, press I to add a keyframe. So we've created our down pose, so you can see it here. So let's switch the interpolation to constant, so it just shows us those keyframes as it is. So just follow as I'm doing. So if you press T on your timeline, just press T, and you can switch interpolation. There are different interpolation for the key set. So some of them are pretty advanced, some of them, most of these ones are mostly used for motion graphics, but these are the ones we are actually focused on for this character. We'll switch to constant for now, just to snap to every key pose we do. There's no in between. But if you go to TV, if I select Bezier, so it creates an in between for us, so you can see that in between before it gets to the next key pose. We do not want that for now. Let's just stick to the key poses. Okay, so next one is 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. All right, so we come to frame 8 and create our passing pose. So for our passing pose, we'll bring this back, bring that back on the the y-axis. Snap this back to its location, its initial location, by pressing Alt G to snap the foot to its initial location. Then bring your root bone up on the z-axis, just to make sure that your the legs are straight, just like it is here. Make sure it's a bit straight. Not, let's say, don't knock the knees. Don't do this. Make sure you don't do this. If not, when you're animating, it's going to be popping. So you bring this forward. All right, so don't do this. This is for beginners anyways, but for pros, because imagine, just if you stand up and walk, you don't see yourself lifting your back heel this high. So it's really subtle, somewhere down, as close to the ground as possible. Right, we are lazy people. Actually, the people who are lazy, they don't actually lift their feet up like that to walk. So you just bring it down, just subtle to the floor, almost touching the ground. Okay, so the arms will come to the middle right there. Like almost touching, almost at the center. So we just go Ctrl 3 again. Right, so this is a basic walk cycle. So once you understand how this works, you can create any walk cycle on your own, depending on the kind of personality your character has. So that's the passing pose. Select everything, press I to snap it there, so you can see. So you're actually animating. If you're actually doing this, that means you're an animator already. Clap for yourself. So the next is the up pose. 1 2 3 4. That's 12. Frame 12. We're going to create this pose right here. Okay. Then before we do that, let's copy this contact pose and paste it at frame 32. So copy this contact pose here. So just do Ctrl P and Ctrl V to paste it here. So at frame 12, that's it. Or count again, 4 more frames. Then frame 16, and you paste the contact pose again, but this time you hold down Ctrl and Shift to paste the opposites of that pose. All right, so at frame 16 now. So now if we count 1 2 3 4, that's frame 12. We'll create the up pose now. So you see the way it is here. We'll do the same thing for our character. So we'll then move this foot in front, rotate it a bit, and move this back just a bit right there, just a bit. Select the root bone, move it forward, such that the heel is what's touching the ground, just like we have here. Move the arm forward, select the other arm, move it backwards. Okay, so we've created our up pose now, and congratulations, you just created the first walk for the leg, for your right leg. That's for this leg. So we have to create the full walk for these other parts of the timeline. So how do you do that? So for this one, so I'll copy this pose. So this is the other contact pose we pasted at frame 16, the reverse of the original contact pose. Okay, so you'll select this second one, count 1 2 3 4 at frame 20. I'll copy it, press Ctrl Shift V to paste the opposite side of the other down pose. Remember our down pose. So I'll do the same thing again, copy this one, count 1 2 3 4 at frame 24. I'll copy it, hold down Ctrl Shift, press V to paste the reverse of our passing pose. I'll do the same thing, 1 2 3 4. I'll copy frame 12, copy Ctrl C, Ctrl Shift V to paste our up pose of the other side. So if we play it now, you can see we've just created our walk cycle. Yay! This is it. We just created our walk cycle. So if I select everything, press T and switch to Bezier, you can see that our walk cycle has been created. Pretty easy, right? It's a simple walk cycle for your character. So you'll notice that the arms are not swinging, are actually snapping right there. So we're going to just tweak that a bit, and we're okay. So you see our character is walking successfully. So this is the basics for how you can create walk cycle body mechanics. So select this one. Let's see. So that's a down pose right here. So this down pose, let's check it. Okay, so it's the same thing. So the down pose is working fine. So this is a basic walk cycle. So if you've created yours, do a video, post it on the group. Let's see your work in progress. So let's quickly tweak this a bit. So you notice it's having that swing out effect. That's what we do not want. So we'll close that in right there. Exactly. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is remember our principles of animation when we talked about follow through and overlap. Okay, so we're going to do that for this arm, the second control for the arm. So for that right here, we're going to pull this back a bit. Make sure you're in this keyframe, Control 3, and rotate that back so it snaps. So there's that follow through. So when it comes here, I'll bring this forward. So before you can see it has that follow through and overlap right there. So I'll do the same thing right here so it doesn't snap. So we'll do the same thing for this arm. So while it's here, I'll bend this up a bit so it has that follow through, and while it's here, I'll bend that. So this is our up pose. I'm actually, trying to correct that. So it's just a little tweak here and there, and your character is working fine. So look at it from the front view. So you just created your first work cycle. Congratulations. There's lots of tweak to be done on this, but this is a basic tutorial because I could just go to my graph editor, but we'll go into graph much later in the course. I don't want to go into this whole detail as a beginner, but if you've done this, congratulations, you just created your first work cycle in Blender. Great. So you've just created your first work cycle now. So there's still a lot of work to be done in this. If you want to go ahead and tweak it, it's okay. These feet are sliding just fine for me for a basic work cycle. So in our next lesson, I'm going to take you through how you can create a progressive work cycle. So we're going to make our character walk forward. Okay, so we'll see you in the next lesson as I'll take you through how you can make your character walk and translate forward. All right, see you in the next class.